Stephen Jules Radio Show.
We all on this Monday evening, Monday night. Tonight, I thought do a podcast tonight. A lot to talk about this week. Actually, a lot to talk about the NRL over the weekend as well. Streaming services, broadcast deals that are going on. Who's getting what broadcast out there? Netflix as well. I have spoken a lot about streaming services on this show, and you know, I have shared my opinions, and I have shared my venting about streaming services. I've currently got a yearly subscription to Disney Plus, so I thought, look, I'll watch some Disney Plus. I watched the 36th season of The Simpsons. Actually, I thought it was pretty great, pretty clever. Been watching American Dad as well. Been watching some documentaries from National Geographic as well. Yeah, but was South Park right the whole time when they did their special, The Streaming Wars, about what content's going to be on what platform, what streaming service out there? And, you know, there's nothing more frustrating when you get a HBO show and then it's not on your streaming service that you've subscribed to. Now, Netflix have taken a big leap in streaming. I think they're streaming WWE. Now, the WWE have their own WWE network. Now, you got Warner Brothers getting in a Hulu. Hulu's been around for how long? Hulu's been around for. I know Netflix been around since 2006. They're kind of the pioneers of streaming. Then Stan, when I looked into streaming as well, I remember these services are about $10 a month. I know Binge has got a deal on. I think it's $4.99 a month for 12 months. But didn't we know that there was always a catch with these streaming services? Ah, damn it, drop. Now, well, the NRL, NFL look at migrating to streaming services. Now, the NRL's been on cable television, Foxtel, for years. I don't have KO Sports, even KO Sports. The problem is, with streaming services, you know, you don't own the content. It's not like, you remember the old days, you'd buy a DVD or you'd go and rent a DVD or a video at Video Easy or Blockbuster. Or you'd rent video games as well. But now we've seen a migration into streaming services. But the power that they have that can take shows down whenever they want. Now, it's not going to surprise me. I know the NFL's got their own streaming services, NHL, where the only issue, NBA as well, you can only watch that sort of content. It's not like, say, KO Sports, where they've tried to become the Netflix of sports streaming. The problem is that in the movie business, they all have a contract with Netflix for however many years the show is available on Netflix or Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Paramount. Now you got free-to-air television on streaming services. Okay. But is it quite possible that Disney could start streaming the NRL? The NFL is on like free-to-air television, cable, streaming. The problem is Is streaming services, guys, going to be like another cable television? Is it going to be a competitor of cable television streaming services? Okay. Have a think about that. The problem is, whenever a new company decides to get involved in streaming services, okay, there's a few things you got to understand. Do they have enough customers support the streaming services? You remember when streaming services first started? It was, well, I think it was very early days. Netflix would have been about $5 a month. Then it went up to $10 a month, which was fantastic. Had no issue with it. But now you're paying for a standard subscription without advertising, because I know that I pay Disney Plus without advertising. We've seen how much the costs have gone up. Now, to produce content is very expensive. To make content, okay? I can understand why cable television would have been upset with it. Now, looking back when I was younger, I thought, yeah, it was great that content was so cheap. But there was always a catch. The streaming services were willing to lose money to get customers. It's a marketing strategy. Okay. Creating content is expensive, time-consuming. All right. Even for myself writing music, I encourage my listeners to buy my tracks on Bandcamp. I would rather you do that because it supports me. And I've spoken about Spotify not paying royalties, the amount that should be paid. And it's true. Streaming services have ripped musicians off for years. Spotify's been ripping off artists for years. Sorry about that, guys. My apologies. Now, if you are going to pick a streaming service, you can do your research on the company. Disney Plus, they're good. Netflix have been around since the early days. They're legit. Look up the shows that are available and what you like. All right. And then decide and compare what deal can I get. Can I pay yearly? Because I prefer, it's better if you pay yearly. It's done. You're not monthly. Are they going to pull shows down because of cancel culture? Because they reference China? That too, you gotta take into consideration, because you don't own the content. All right. Now, whenever I release music through, because I use CD Baby, they're very good actually. For me to distribute music to streaming services, it costs me money to put my work out there. Yes, Bandcamp is fantastic for independent artists. It's on royalty free. All I can say to my listeners is support musicians who are releasing work, because the time that get you put into it and all that energy, creativity, mental exhaustion, of course you deserve to be compensated for it. And I don't like the fact that people think, oh yeah, we can rip musicians off for years because oh, music's just whatever. Now, years before streaming services, there was things like Napster, if you remember them, and then they got sued by Lars Ulrich. I can understand why Lars Ulrich sued Napster. And I will say good on him for that. Because people don't realize it's costing bands, artists, independent artists to make music. It's expensive. And it's time consuming. And it's just not fair how people want to just download your work. So without acknowledging you. So all I can say is support musicians as much as you can and just appreciate the time that goes into creating music, because these music streaming sites are not paying the proper amount of royalties that musicians should get. It's a fact. Okay. I thought I'd tell you all that stuff. But other than that, moving on. Brett Lee's beer co. Went into administration. Brett Lee is a fast bowler for Australia as well. Sydney Beer Co. They went into administration. They tried to expand into the US. There was documents to Australian Securities and Investments Commission. The company pretty much did collapse because of a very hard trading environment, apparently, with the United States of America. Now we know for a fact Donald Trump's tariffs are here. Now they were exporting beers to Malaysia and the US. Okay. Now Brett Lee, he achieved 310 wickets in 76 Test matches for Australia. He's the co-owner of Sydney Beer Co. And there's an actor, Matt Nable. Okay. Now, Anthony Albanese froze the beer excise tax in a, quote, modest cost of living win, Daily Telegraph. Now, I've spoken a lot about excise taxes on beer and all that. I won't go into that in today's show, all right? Because for me, if I buy my beer, I go to the bottle to buy my beer. I don't really buy a beer at the pub. I'll just buy a glass of Coke. It depends what area you go to as well. Yeah, so whenever a company tries to expand to different markets, there's always a risk involved. Different tariffs, tax laws, whatever, especially on alcohol and cigarettes. Okay. Now, I will say it's important to support small businesses, pubs, your favorite pub, or wherever you go to, because it's important to keep them going in business. Okay, guys? Small businesses are what keep the economy going and what keep the economy moving. All right. But in music, Nick Jonas apparently reprimanded his fans for tossing bracelets on stage at a Nick Jonas concert, which is, I have no idea why. Tossing bracelets. there was a reckless stunt at a music festival in Melbourne. See, I don't understand why people want to do stunts in music festivals, and this is like, I don't know, people just crazy out there. Yeah, Teddy Swims, he's apparently he's going to return to Brisbane after a sellout tour as well. So it's good to see that yeah, the music industry is getting back up and running since COVID as well. Sabrina Carpenter, she copped some backlash because apparently she was simulating an Eiffel Tower sex position at a Paris concert. Daily Telegraph. I don't know. What crazy ideas some artists come up with. But yeah, it's important that we keep the music industry going. Get out, go to those concerts. Because that's how artists make their money, by touring. Because touring's important. Touring keeps the economy going. Because whenever you go to a concert, you buy drinks, merch, whatever, okay? And you're keeping the economy moving. So that's how it is. That's just how it is. Because it literally costs musicians, whenever they come to play in your local arena, stadium, they have to rent it out. All right. And then they got to make a profit on top of it. So if there's low ticket sales, they're losing money. All right. So that's why it's important to keep the music industry going, because we need entertainment. Okay. Because entertainment is what helps us forget about all the negative stuff going on in the world. Have you ever gone to a concert? I've seen Hans Zimmer live, and man, the atmosphere was fantastic at Kudos Bank Arena. You feel like for those 2 hours of your life, you're forgetting everything that's going on. You just feel like you're in another place. You feel great after. Got home that night, couldn't sleep because I felt, wow, the atmosphere, the sound, the adrenaline was just fantastic. And it's incredible how music can bring us together during hard times, hard economic times. Every year in Australia, we're told to prepare for the flu season. That's important. I'm someone who gets the flu vaccine because that's it. I don't know. Every time I've had the flu, I cop it pretty darn bad. Every flu season, there's challenges. See, when I was a kid, I never used to get the flu vaccine. However, I would always get the flu quite bad. So it's important to get your flu jab because the flu is not good. Yeah, in cricket as well, there was a Latrobe Valley cricket match where the brawl broke out. There was 2 cricketers that were hit with suspensions over the brawl. This was an A-grade game in Gippsland. It was on a live stream. It was a match, cricket in, I think it was Cricket Latrobe Valley match between Rovers and Gormadale at Duncan Cameron Memorial Park in Traralgon. It happened in the 43rd over of the game. I think there was some exchange of words at the non-strikers end. But the game continued. Rovers, I think they were going on for 8 for 143, and there was in reply to 79. But there was a tribunal. The bowler received a 10-year ban, and the fieldsman was suspended for 4 years. Now, how does a brawl break out in the game of cricket, guys? Where's the spirit of the game in cricket? How does this happen in a game of cricket, a brawl? I don't understand. To me, that's just quite shocking, actually. You remember Matai Muritharan, a fantastic, talented spin bowler for Sri Lanka. Early on in his career, remember he kept getting no balled for chucking. Muritharan and Shane Warne were the two greatest spin bowlers of Test cricket, one-day cricket as well. But can Nathan Lyon be the new highest leading wicket taker in the game of Test cricket? Apparently it will take Nathan Lyon, quote, 5 years. If you take 50 wickets a year even, 50 wickets is not an easy target to get in a year. Look, I think Nathan Lyon does, Daily Telegraph. I think Nathan Lyon does have the potential to push. You look at how he bowled in Galle against Sri Lanka. It's a spin-friendly wicket. But will we see in the game of cricket another Shane Warne or another Matai Muritharan? Again, talent like that is rare. Okay. It's obviously a lot of cricketers have setbacks, injuries, or they're not selected. But you never know. You never know. A lot of the Australian cricket team, you see, they're pushing toward 40 now. So your body just starts slowing down. But it's not to say that they could still keep up. Steve Smith, he's decided to call it quits on one-day cricket. I think he will play 2020 or test matches, probably focus on the test matches. But I'd love to see more test matches being played. Test match cricket, I hope it does not die out, because it has history, test match cricket, even playing day-night test match cricket, more of them actually. Okay. Yeah, we need to keep test match cricket going because it's important. Very important to keep it on going. Formula One as well in China. Lewis Hamilton won the first sprint race of the year. Well done to him in Ferrari. But then in the Grand Prix, ended up getting disqualified. How did that happen? You know, you had Grand Prix results overturned after the Australian Grand Prix as well. Look, I'll be honest about the Formula One. Some of the rules I don't agree with. Like, apparently the It was something to do with Lewis Hamilton's tires that are underweight, and it gets down to, I don't like the whole nitpickiness of it, of dealing with all these regulations. The slightest little corner cut, you're given a penalty for it. Sometimes it's not your fault if you've got nowhere to go. Okay. We saw some rookie drivers didn't get the great start of the year in the Australian GP. One of them was the 18-year-old Frenchman. He was trying to warm up the tyres on the warm-up lap, and he just slowed down, and then he just to put some heat in the tyres. The conditions were quite tough out there. It was raining. And I can understand why he was upset. Okay. Obviously, when you're the rookie, you got a lot of learning to do in Formula One. Hadjar, his Formula One debut wasn't the best, but you never know. We can see him again. You got a feel for the guy. All right. Formula One it's a tough sport for these drivers. Under a lot of pressure as well. Some things ain't your fault. You got certain lap times to be hitting. And a lot of things can go wrong with the car as well. Your tires lose grip, or someone runs in the back of you as well. Yeah, so they're under a lot of pressure, especially when Daniel Ricciardo, how he got sacked and they wouldn't let him finish the season at least. Yeah, it's tough work being a Formula One driver. Okay. Not an easy profession, very competitive, because someone down in F2 is coming up and they're willing to take your spot if you are not placing in the top 10, or you crash too much, you're not finishing races. The team looks at that stuff. Yeah, it can be cutthroat, and at times you're not even told that your time's up. Sort of talks between the bosses. Okay. Apparently there's $127 million vision for a state-of-the-art film production hub in Oran Park Studios. TV and film studio. Wow, Oran Park has grown so much. Greenfield's development company they lodged plans for the Oran Park Studios with the Camden Council. But I think it would be delivered in 5 stages. Oran Park's grown so much. There's Oran Park Hotel now. The shops have grown. Okay. You remember the days when Oran Park was just a racetrack. It looks like a good little location for a film studio, and that would be great to see Oran Park Studios. There's a leisure centre now. There's a library. Yeah, you never know how things are growing out in Western Sydney. The future of Western Sydney, actually. There was a bloke, John McNeil from Avalon Beach, got charged for sending offensive emails to MP Alex Greenwich. this happened recently. So yeah, stuff going on as well. So this happened in hell. There was a Sydney doctor, Maria Bastos. She was found guilty of unsatisfactory professional conduct over patient relationship. You can read this in the Daily Telegraph. There was a sexual relationship with a patient. This is what stripped her medical registration from the state's healthcare watchdog. Unsatisfactory professional conduct and professional misconduct. This was in the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal. This was at the Marrickville Metro Medical Centre that this happened. The patient actually made the complaint to the Healthcare Complaints Commission in regards to the relationship in 2022 because of a 2-year relationship from 2015 to 2016, and Miss Bastos was still treating the man as a patient. That happened. Yeah. Yeah, quote, an inappropriately close personal relationship, including gifting the patient aftershave, chocolate, trousers, pizza, and a cash loan of $500, quote, Daily Telegraph. So the tribunal accepted the evidence of the patient that happened. Yeah, and this is what happened. This from the recently. Okay. Now, here's the thing about Sydney having a 24-hour nightlife, and I want to ask this question for everyone. Because of all these industrial action going on with the unions, how is this going to happen if you keep having industrial action, trains are not running, and you want a 24-hour nightlife, and you're having problems with buses and overcrowding on buses, overcrowding on train platforms? How are people going to get to the city and back home? Because it's not fun having to commute 3 hours on a bus. Who wants to do that? Okay. So it definitely will affect businesses, because if customers aren't coming to spend money, and you've got train strikes going on, industrial action, what's the solution? We need trains. We need better public transport. We need faster public transport systems. None of this union stuff saying, oh, we've got to drive 23 kilometres under the speed limit and delaying things, and trains being 3 hours behind, and then, oh, come on. All right. That's not fair. You know, people got to get home, and no one wants to be waiting or having to rely on taxis and Ubers and spending, what, $50, $60 just to get you back to where you need to go. So something's got to change with the unions. The government's got to fix this stuff up. Can't keep going on like this. Okay? Can't go on like this. Now, cost of living crisis, there's actually full-time employed people that are sleeping rough on the streets. You know, I don't understand how Uh, people work for their wages and can't afford a roof over their head. How did Australia get to this point? I never thought 10 years ago that Australia was going to be like this. Everything's so expensive. But that's what the next election's for. Okay. Electricity is very expensive and overpriced. So many potholes on the road, you wouldn't believe it, and very dangerous they are. They should be getting fixed. Okay. I don't know what's going on in the construction industry. Buildings with defects and all this stuff. It needs to be changed. Can't go on like this. Okay. Just cannot go on like this. As in NRL, we saw some interesting things on the weekend. Yesterday's game, Bulldogs, right? The referee against Parramatta Eels, Josh Adokar did quite well for his first game back of the year. But this is interesting. How does a penalty happen for a Bulldogs player saying that a player's offside of the referee, but it's like unsportsmanship, and the referee gives a penalty to Parramatta Eel? We saw Ricky Stewart at the press conference. He was not happy with some of the referees' calls. Referees rigging games, okay? And then they say, oh, because it's not in the spirit of the game. I don't get that. High tackles that are not high tackles and then get put on a report. Some of these calls are just, are you serious? What started all this problem? Okay. Can't go on like this, the NRL. There's nothing worse than when a referee is ruining the game for everyone, and we all want to go watch our footy. Want to see him smash him. You smash him. The good old days of footy. And then penalties just keep getting blown all the time. Yeah, can't go on like this. Yeah, coffee. I like to drink me coffee, but it talks about a small cup of coffee going up to $7. God. $7 a cup for a cup of coffee in some areas. Depends where you go as well. Part of it's to do with, natural disasters as well, affecting how coffee beans are grown, so it gets expensive to import them into the country. Unless business owners have a deal with their suppliers or they find another supplier that can do it cheaper for them too, you never know. But is coffee getting overpriced in Australia? I pay about, I think it's probably, I've paid for a small cappuccino with almond milk close to about $5.80 in around Western Sydney. Yeah. A lot of it too is the rent's gone up, utilities have gone up, a lot of things have gone up. So is it going to get to a point where people cut back on buying coffee? Because I enjoy coffee. Okay. In Australia, we've had a mental health crisis. Okay. Mental health crisis came from COVID, the pandemic as well. All of a sudden, we're told to stay home, and then a lot of school kids don't want to go back to school because of very high levels of anxiety and stress. Because you're so used to sitting at home, you're doing your work on your computer, you're not retaining the information, all right? And how long is this mental health crisis going to last us? I know I've suffered mental health problems too. Okay. But stress and anxiety has become very big in our community. And it's interesting because we have all the technology in the world, and yet we've got all devices, entertainment on our phone, iPhones, smartphones, and yet stress and anxiety is so high. We have healthcare, we have pharmaceuticals, we've got all the medications in Australia, we've got all the mental health professionals. But yet stress and anxiety just doesn't go away. How come? There's no cure for it. Yes, part of it was to do with the lockdowns and the pandemic, because that's what has caused it. Some parents have said that they shouldn't have closed schools in the pandemic. Remember the daily press conferences from Brad Hazard and the Health New South Wales telling us the COVID numbers, and then telling us we need to get our jab, vaccine mandates, QR code check-ins as well. It became like, almost like, was it like control? You can disagree with me if you like, if you're listening to the show. Feel free to comment in the comments section what your thoughts are. But hopefully the Australian government does, for people who can't afford private practice, put more money into Medicare and improving mental health support services out there for Australians and helping Australians with disabilities. Okay? Because, I'm sick and tired of seeing long queues for apartments, people not given a fair go. All right. And basically, I'm just getting sick of it. We can't go on like this. Okay? Just can't go on like this. All right. The two nurses who committed those anti-Semitic offences have appeared in the court. Ahmad Rashad Nadir and Sarah Abu Lebda, aged 27 years old. They went viral in February over anti-Semitic comments that were stood down from New South Wales Health, and they recently arrived in the Downing Centre local court. Now, I don't know what the judgment is going to be out of this case. But I was, when I did that episode, I was actually upset for healthcare workers to do that. I was distressed. Okay. So this is, We have to see what the courts decide and what's going to happen. All right. Now, they're both currently on bail. Quote, however, Mr. Nadir's lawyer, Zemarai Kartiz, told reporters outside court that he would, quote, intend to argue for the video to be excluded from court, quote, Daily Telegraph. Now, quote, the video was captured without consent and knowledge of his client, quote. Look, I can understand the argument here. If this appeared on X as well when I was talking about it. You can read this in the Daily Telegraph. This is where I do my news research. Now, was there an issue of what was called baiting? This is now that could be. Okay. Yeah, but I was quite upset when that did happen. I was pretty upset. When it happened. Now, I told you about the two NASA astronauts that were stranded in space for 9 months. They were up in the space station. Now, hopefully, apparently they're going to get compensated. They touched down with the SpaceX capsule with Crew Dragon. It was the splashdown was off Florida's Gulf Coast near Tallahassee. This is near Tampa, Florida. Then you got Miami. Okay, so it's good to see the astronauts have returned. Okay. And it's good to see them back as well, because that's Elon Musk is a genius with SpaceX. Honestly, what he's done as an entrepreneur to solve problems of space, to use reusable rockets, is amazing that he has done this. Because NASA was taxpayer funded space company, and they don't reuse their rockets. They have to rebuild a new rocket. See, these are the problems of space. Given that the astronauts, I think it wasn't even a long mission. They didn't bring enough supplies. And so these are the obstacles they've got to overcome. Things do go wrong in space. Okay. Recently, the JFK, John F. Kennedy files were released by Donald Trump. You can read them. I've been reading them as well. But was the CIA responsible for John F. Kennedy's assassination? Yeah, okay. I'll keep you updated on that. It's good to do your research as well. Now, there's a lot changing in Australian politics next federal election. Is Peter Dutton the way out for Australia? Will Peter Dutton solve the cost of living crisis, the housing problem, the energy crisis? Will Peter Dutton help get the economy back on track? Will Peter Dutton help get coffees down to $3.50 for a small cup of coffee? I'm going to let you guys answer that. Okay. Because, Australia's in a tough situation. High power cost, power, electricity prices are through the roof. Okay. So we have to see when the next federal election will be called. There's plans for a Burwood Hotel in Burleigh Street from the home of AC/DC. Apparently, it's going to be demolished. AC/DC, the greatest rock band in the music industry. Okay. Multi-million developments are on track to replace it. This is in 4 Burleigh Street. So it's going to be bulldozed to make way for a 38-story, 120-room hotel, bar, swimming pool, block of 48 apartments worth more than $75 million. Okay. Burwood Square was bought by Young House in February 2023 for $5.8 million, and it was demolished in December 2024. Quote, Daily Telegraph. Yeah, this is infrastructure as well. How things are changing out there. All right. Yeah, Neighbours. You remember the show Neighbours? Okay. There was it was on for 40 years. And it's just interesting how much it's changed and how many actors have played on the show as well. Soap opera, The Bold and the Beautiful, Home and Away. Yeah. It's just, yeah, and you look at shows like The Simpsons as well. 36 years they've been around, and they're still going. How wasn't it at one point they did try to end The Simpsons a few times? Matt Groening then started Futurama for a couple of seasons, and that went away. But you look back and it's like it's memories from when I was a kid watching The Simpsons. Bart Simpson hasn't changed. Lisa, Maggie, Homer, Marge Simpson. The writing has changed. New writers come in, make it funny. The animation has changed. The Simpson movie as well. That was a hit. I can remember the cinemas were packed when the Simpsons movie came out. Waverley Council Mayor Will Namesh is looking at an e-bike roundup. Apparently there's so many e-bikes just being left on the street around there. So that's what's happening around that area with e-bikes. So there's a lot of complaints from the community about e-bikes being left. I can understand because it just gets annoying when you're trying to walk down the street and there's e-bikes just sitting around on the path. It's a hazard. They got like I think they're looking at a 20-kilometer-hour maximum speed limit and mandatory helmets with e-bikes as well. So that's what's been going on. Yeah, so that's It is interesting. American Dad and The Simpsons. Was The Simpsons able to predict what was going to happen in the world? Did they get predictions right, or is that not true? Okay. Because it is incredible how a show is. The 36th season was interesting, very interesting. Yeah, it was clever writing, I thought. Okay. And yeah, who knows? Will The Simpsons keep going on? And how long is The Simpsons going to be in show business? Didn't they try to cancel Family Guy at one stage? Because yeah, I don't know. Was it because of cancel culture that was happening? That was happening. Look, I hope you guys are enjoying the Stephen Shields radio show. It's been, as I'm recording this is the 650th episode I've done. I've really enjoyed it. It's been an amazing journey, and I'll still keep going on with the podcast as well. If you have any feedback for the show, guys, please put them in the comments. Let me know what you like to see, if you want changes to happen, or if you're happy with what I'm doing. Or if you know, if you want something different, yeah, let me know in the comments, because that's that always helps. Community is precious. We need community for content creators out there, because yeah, community is powerful, especially for small content creators who are starting to get out there on their journey in this field, in this craft, if you could see it that way. Podcasting for me has been a wonderful, thing for me that I've been able to do this show. I will believe in free speech. Like to share opinions on this show as well. The amazing guests I've interviewed as well has been fantastic. So if you guys can subscribe, you get new episodes every Friday at 6 p.m. Sydney, Australia time as well. If you have your notifications turned on, you get them straight away. Share any of your favorite episodes on social media, because it helps the show grow a lot. It does. Other than that, I do talk a lot about technology, and my experience with Bumble dating, the Bumble dating app, I'd say nothing has worked. I want to know if anyone's used dating apps. Have they had any success with dating apps out there? And where are dating apps going to be in the future? Okay. because who knows what the future holds for us. All right. So I hope you've enjoyed the episode tonight, guys. And I hope you've been inspired. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.